Well, hell, here we are again, huh? Old Point Hemingway. Alrighty. For a second, why don't you go stand over there with JC for just a second? This one's going to be just for Marshall and Dixie here.
Gotcha, sir.
All right, Marshall, Dixie, how you guys feeling?
Yeah,
You know, there's
feeling like
a
a Legion member.
well, that's about the size of it, I guess. You know, there's a road out there. There's not marked on any map. There's no turnoff signals for it anywhere when you're pulling up to it. Some say it only appears when you've carried the weight on your shoulders for far too long. I first found it on a night when rain fell sideways and the wind screamed through the spokes of my bike like an angry spirit, man. That was back when I was just a president for one charter, before the patch on my back grew into the bigger burden that it is today. Bigger than I ever understood it. The night that I found that road, I was tired. Not from miles, not from walking, not from riding, but from the decisions that I had to make. The kind of decisions that cut you open from the inside, you know? The ones that change how you look at men and women, how you look at yourself. When you're leading just one charter, you think the nightmare ends when that day ends. When you lead many, you learn that night still wide awake. As the storm swallowed my headlights that night, I saw a shape on the shoulder of that road. Two riders just standing beside their bikes. I didn't know them, but they felt familiar, you know. Uh, the kind of calmness that you got, and the kind of steady fire that Dixie has. I mean, obviously it wasn't you guys, but the road wanted me to see in them what I needed to understand that night. When I pulled up and killed my engine, I asked why they were stopped. The man looked at me and said, because somebody had to. And the female looked at me and said, somebody always will. Till the job's done, anyways, you know? There's a part of me that stuck with that. The road behind them kept repairing itself, you know? Each time the wind wiped the sand clean, new cracks formed. And each time the patched a hole, the ground trembled and opened up another one. The road wasn't broken, it was breaking itself on purpose, you know? Testing them. Testing me, you know? It's always been a test. And finally, I look at him. I go, well, why keep fixing it then if it just keeps breaking? The woman wipes the dirt off of her hands and says, because if we don't, then the riders behind us fall into those cracks. The man kind of nodded and he said, even when we move on, the road doesn't stop needing us, and it never will. And that night, the lightning just flashed and those two were gone, just empty pavement. I kind of just chalk it off to maybe doing a little too much cocaine, staying up a little too long, you know. But when that lightning flashed and they were gone, I understood something that night, that the weight of the road is real. Leadership isn't a patch you earn just one time. It's a debt that you keep paying. And Marshall, Dixie, when you started that NERP chapter, carrying those tools, those scars, and the grit that only those who have built something real can truly understand, you held the cracks together so your members wouldn't fall in. That work commands respect. But respect isn't what binds you guys to Legion. What binds you guys is the truth of that unmarked road. That the job is never done. Not for me, not for you, not for any of these motherfuckers wearing this patch. Because Legion doesn't sleep, and neither does the road that carries you to us. So I want to extend my appreciation from the National Charter to soon to be national members. I love you both very much, and everything that you've done for all of the people that you've had the pleasure of putting in this cut, and some of them that you've had the pleasure of taking off this cut from. It's a long road, and I know you guys are tired, but as I mentioned, this job is never going to be done, not as long as that patch sits on your back. You take the time that you need to rest, and take the time to make sure that you guys are strong enough to carry that patch with you. Now, this club is built on love, whether it appears that way from the outside or not. Each one of you loves one another at some level. Even when we hate the fucking person that we're talking to sometimes, we love you. You and Marshall have done something that not a lot of people can do, and something that Locke's doing right now. A couple of other chapter presidents have tried their best and failed. Not always a failure, meaning that they can never try again, but there are many charters that never made it to this point. The handoff of presidency is something that is sacred. It's something that you earn, not something that you just get to have. It's something that is earned through love, through hate, through hurt, through patience and trials and awful days and great ones too. Being a family, a lot of us, myself included, don't really have a real family, and that's why we turn to these leather cuts with snake skin and letters, and we bond each other together because it's the family that we choose, not the family that we have. So I don't want to do multiple hospital trips. You guys know what's coming. You've been here long enough. I want you to see the rest of this ceremony, and then we'll shoot all three of you at the same time. How's that?
That's fine.
I want you guys stand off to my left side, and Ty, you're up, buddy. Ty, the story I'm going to give you is a little bit different than the one I gave to Marshall and Dixie. Marshall and Dixie have heard all of my stories. You've probably heard a few of them, but they've heard all of them. And this is one they haven't heard. This is one that nobody's heard. So you're going to be the first. I want you to understand that Marshall and Dixie are not just entrusting you with something that is a title. It's not just that cut you get to put on. It's not just leadership. So I want you to understand what a quiet night might cost. All right? Because there's a night in my life that I don't talk about very often. Not because of what happened that night, but because of what did not happen that night. It was back before I ever thought about leading a national charter, before responsibility felt like a second spine welded into my back that I had to keep upright. I was riding sweep that night on a run. Should have been simple, right? Clean route, light cargo, no heat, just me and a support crew. That was it. We were just supposed to go in, grab shit, get out, call it a night. Halfway through that night, we got word that our support crew had gone silent. No calls, no radio, just nothing. We all regrouped at the compound. Some of the brothers and sisters said, hey, it's probably nothing. The others were like, yeah, we'll just wait till morning. Others, men wearing the patches that I wear now, decided to sit around a table and debate whether or not to act. There's a place for church tables, and sometimes, Ty, I promise you there's not. But we waited that night because that's what the church table decided. One quiet hour went by, then another, and another. I was standing outside our clubhouse, smoking a cigarette, staring at the sky, wondering why the silence felt so goddamn loud, man. Wondering when exactly we became the men and women who needed time to decide whether our own were worth moving for or not. Finally, man, I rode out by myself, alone, into that darkness. When I reached that support crew's last spot, I found wreckage, brother. Bikes scattered everywhere, lights on their bikes still flickering, the kind of stillness that just makes your stomach churn. One person bleeding out on the dirt, just grabbed my cut. And he just had one sentence, three words: "Where were you?" He wasn't asking for my help. He wasn't angry. He was disappointed. Man, like a kid realizing the man he trusted wasn't the man he thought he was. I carry that shit still with me today. When I got back, everybody wanted details, right? Bodies, weapons, suspects, they wanted information, but not a one of them motherfuckers asked the question that I needed to hear. Why the hell didn't we ride with you? That night taught me something that I'll never forget, Ty. A quiet night doesn't mean peace. Sometimes it's the sound of the responsibility that you chose not to shoulder. Ty, you're stepping into a role where silence can crack the foundation of that charter. Where waiting too long can cost people more than a bike or a patch, man. Where inaction is action, and it lands just as hard. I want you to understand this. Legion will never fall apart because an outsider hit us. Legion does fall apart when our leaders freeze. And when leaders fail, our family bleeds for it. I'm not warning you, I'm telling you. This is the truth, Ty. From here on out, every single quiet night is yours to answer for. And if Legion ever finds itself asking, where were you? Your patch won't be what carries that shame. You will. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Get him to a hospital.